4.4 is about slope-intercept form and standard form. So we're going to talk about how to write equations in slope-intercept form. We're going to focus on how to get there from what we learned in 4.3, how to get there from point-slope form. And then we're going to talk about how to transition from slope-intercept form into standard form. So let's start with talking about slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form can be written y equals mx plus b. And this is the one that most people are pretty used to and comfortable with. Y equals mx plus b, where m, still as always, is the slope, and b is the y value of the y-intercept. So we need two things to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form. We need the slope and the y-intercept. Let's first talk about how to graph using slope-intercept form. So the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to plot the point 0b. If the y-intercept is 5, if b is 5, you're going to plot the point 0, 5. Then, just like when we graphed with point-slope form, you're going to use the slope to determine your rise and run, to go over and up to find your next point, and you're going to connect with a line that has arrows on the ends. So looking at number 1, the first thing I want to do is identify my slope. My slope is the number right here in front of x, 2, which I'm going to write as 2 over 1. That tells me I'm going to move up 2, and I'm going to move to the right 1. My y-intercept is the number -1, which tells me I am going to graph the point 0, -1. So 0, -1 is right here. I'm going to graph that point, and then I'm going to use my slope to move up and over. So up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1. And I just like to keep the pattern going all the way through. And I'm going to connect the dots, and I'm going to draw arrows on the ends to show that the line goes on forever and ever in both directions. So identify your y-intercept, identify your slope, plot your y-intercept, and use your slope to move to the next points so that you have enough to sketch the line accurately on the coordinate plane. So looking at number 2, I'm going to write a 1 here. There's an invisible 1 in front of that negative, or in front of that x. So my slope is -1, which means I will be moving down 1 and right 1 from my point. And the point that I have, I'm going to get from right here. My y-intercept is the point 0, 3. So I'm going to plot 0, 3. Then I'm going to use my slope, down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, until I run out of space. Again, I like to keep the pattern going. I'm going to do my best to connect the dots with a straight line and make sure that I have arrows on the ends. Why don't you go ahead and pause the video and work through number 3. I'm going to give you a hint. I'm going to add a +0 here. Identify your slope and your y-intercept, plot the y-intercept, and use your slope to move up and over. So our slope is 1/2, up 1, right 2. Our y-intercept is the point 0, 0, so we're going to start right here at the origin, and we're going to use our slope, up 1 over 2, up 1, right 2. And just to keep the pattern going, I'm going to reverse it to go the other way so that when I connect, ooh, that wasn't very good. Let's try again. When I connect the dots, I have a straight line with arrows on the ends. So that's how we graph. We identify the y-intercept as 0, b from the equation in point-slope form, in slope-intercept form. We identify the slope and write it as rise over run, so we can go from our y-intercept up and over or down and over based on that slope. So now we need to figure out, well, how do we write an equation in slope-intercept form? We just talked about how do we use it once it's in slope-intercept form, but how do we actually write an equation in slope-intercept form? All right, writing an equation in slope-intercept form, which again is y equals mx plus b. So a couple of things. If you are just given m and b, you can just plug m and b in and circle that. There you go. You have it written in slope-intercept form. If you are not given the y-intercept, then you need to actually start by doing what we did in 4.3, which is writing the equation in point-slope form. So step 1 says write the equation using the given info in point-slope form. Then you're going to distribute, which is what we did not do in 4.3. You're going to distribute, and then you're going to isolate y. So let's look at this first example. Here's my m, here's my x1, y1. I'm going to start by writing this in point-slope form, which is right there. So y minus 1 equals my slope, 8 times x minus -3. That's going to become x plus 3. I am going to distribute, so y minus 1 equals 8x plus 24. And then I'm going to add 1 to both sides to isolate y. So this is going to give me y equals 8x plus 25. So again, write it in point slope form, distribute, isolate y, and you will have slope-intercept form. Our essential question today, though, says not just how do we write it in slope-intercept form, how do we write it in standard form? And standard form comes directly from here. So we would continue, we would do these same first 3 steps, and then I will show you how to get from here into standard form. So before I forget, I'm going to rewrite that. That was y equals 8x plus 25. Because after we talk about the requirements, then I want to use that equation to show you how to put it into standard form. So standard form requirements, no fractions. X and y need to be on the same side. It needs to be the x term, then the y term, and then any other thing should be on the far right side. So no fractions, x and y are on the same side, and your a value, the number in front of your x term, must be positive. So different textbooks define standard form differently, but this is how at DVHS we define standard form. Standard form for a line means that your a value is positive and neither a, b, nor c are fractions. So thinking about where we left off on this problem, to move x to the other side, I could just subtract x. So I would get negative 8x plus y, because x has to come first. Negative 8x plus y equals 25. So we have met the no fraction requirement. We have x and y on the same side with x coming first. The only problem that we have right now is that x is negative and it's not allowed to be negative. So what we're going to do is multiply the entire equation by negative 1. That's going to give us 8x minus y equals negative 25. So that would be our standard form. And don't worry, we're going to practice both slope-intercept and standard for each of these 4 examples below. So number 1, well, the directions for all 4 of them say write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form, then write it in standard form. So slope-intercept form, oh look, on number 1, they gave me m and they gave me b. So for slope-intercept form, which we're going to do in green, I can just write this, y equals m to x plus b, or plus negative 3. So I'm going to not write plus, I'm going to write minus 3. This is my slope-intercept form. For standard form, I need to move x to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 2x on both sides. That's going to give me negative 2x plus y equals negative 3. I don't have any fractions. My x term comes first and then my y term. So the only problem that I have here is that x is not allowed, the number in front of x is not allowed to be negative. So I'm going to multiply everything by negative 1. That's going to give me 2x minus y equals 3. This is my standard form. So when you're given the slope and the y-intercept, you can just plug them right in for m and b to get it into slope-intercept form. To get from slope-intercept form to standard form, you need to move your x term to the other side and make sure that your x term is positive and that you don't have any fractions. Number 2, for slope-intercept form, we actually need to start with point slope form. So y minus negative 1 is y plus 1 equals our slope times x minus 10. Now we're going to distribute, so negative 2 over 5x plus 2 times 10 is 20, divided by 5 is 4. And then to get this into slope-intercept form, I need to subtract 1 on both sides. So y equals negative 2 over 5x plus 3 if I subtract 1 on both sides. So for standard form, we're going to start there. Y equals negative 2 over 5x plus 3. We're going to move negative 2 over 5 to the other side. So 2 over 5x plus y equals 3. So I have my x term first, then I have y. All of my other numbers are on the other side. My x term is positive. That's awesome. So the only issue that I have now is that I'm not allowed to have any fractions. So I need to multiply by the common denominator, which is 5. That's going to give me 2x. Make sure you multiply every single term by that 5. 2x plus 5y equals 15. There is my standard form. On number 3, you can use the graph to identify your slope. It looks like it's going to be up 1 over 2, so our slope is 1/2. It looks like, and let's use our slope to just make sure, we can go up 1 and over 2 to get that y-intercept, which is 3. If you didn't recognize that, you could just start by writing this in point slope form using either of those points. So I'm going to use the left point. I'm going to pretend I didn't see from the graph what the y-intercept was. So y minus 1 equals 1/2 times x plus 4. If I use the point on the left, I'm going to distribute 1/2 x plus 2, and I'm going to add 1 to both sides. Y equals 1/2 x plus 3. So there is my slope-intercept form. Now to write this in standard form, the first thing I need to do is subtract 1/2 x on both sides. So negative 1/2 x plus y equals 3. Then I need to get rid of that negative and the fraction. So I'm going to multiply everything on both sides of the equation by negative 2. That gives me x minus 2y equals negative 6. And now I have my equation in standard form. Number 4 is our last problem. So go ahead and pause the video. See if you can work through both slope-intercept and standard form on your own. Then unpause the video and see how you did. So I can count the slope from the graph, up 3 over 1. So my slope is 3. I can also see the y-intercept from the graph is negative 1. So I can write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form, y equals 3x minus 1. Again, if you didn't see or you didn't notice that it was the y-intercept that you were given, you could have written it in point slope form, distributed and moved your constant over. You would have gotten to the exact same place. Now to write this in standard form, I need to move 3x over. So I'm going to subtract 3x on both sides. That's going to give me negative 3x plus y equals negative 1. Remember, your x has to come first, then your y equals all of your constants. And then my x is not allowed to be negative, so I need to multiply everything on both sides by negative 1. That will give me 3x minus y equals positive 1. So to recap these notes, slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b. In order to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form, you need to write it in point slope form, distribute, and isolate y. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. You need to make sure that a, b, and c are all not fractions, and that a is a positive number. To get an equation in standard form, you're going to take it from slope-intercept form, move your x term back over to the left-hand side, and then, as needed, multiply to get rid of a negative in front of x or to get rid of any fractions. Looking forward to supporting you on 4.4 in class. Thanks for listening.